Well, you know how Republicans say they don't like Republicans attacking Republicans. What is that? Is that a Ronald Reagan quote? I think.
Yeah.
They all say it is. I'm not completely sure, but they like to use it on the talk show circuit. Well, that's happening. North Carolina representative is a freshman representative, Madison Cawthorn, is facing a challenger, and he has not been backed by his fellow GOP buddies. He is a representative he's in a wheelchair. And remind me again of why he's a veteran?
I don't know his full history, so don't put me on the spot there.
Okay, sorry. I thought you had said it while we were discussing it earlier. Anyway, he's a
young guy. He's one of the youngest members of Congress, by the way.
And yes, and so he's had a series of what the GOP is calling missteps. For instance, he recently got charged with speeding and had some driving violations. He said something about Ukrainian President Vladimir Putin calling him a thug, and no one liked to hear that because right now we are supposed to agree that Zelensky is a hero. We can't say anything critical about the government of Ukraine, even though it has been ranked very corrupt pre this war. Now we're supposed to think it's utopia that we are all protecting. So yeah, why are his buddies turning on him, Clayton?
So he went on a podcast the other day and made some sort of offhand remarks. It was kind of a younger guy hosted podcast where he talked about what it's like to work in Washington, D.C. and what it's like to, be the young guy in Washington, D.C. and talks about getting invited to these different parties with Republican elites and other members of the media and so forth. And he talks about these wild claims, basically, about what happens in Washington. Stuff you're not really allowed to talk about. Like everyone there knows that this stuff happens, but you're just not allowed to talk about it. But he did. Listen.
How much, in your opinion, because you've been behind the veil, is this a fictitious show?
Now he's talking about House of Cards. He's talking about like West Wing and House of Cards, and basically House of Cards was the context here. Like, is this real deal? Like, or is that just like fantasy?
Or is this more closer to like a documentary? Is it that bad?
So I heard a former president that we had in the 90s was asked the question about this. And he gave an answer that I thought was so true. And he said, the only thing that's not accurate in that show is that you could never get a piece of legislation about education passed that quickly.
And everything else is good?
Aside from that, I mean, the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington, I mean, being kind of a young guy in Washington, with the average age is probably 60 or 70. And I look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics, guys that, then all of a sudden you get invited to, like, well, hey, we're going to have kind of a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Yeah. Or the fact that, there's some of the people that are leading on the movement to try and remove, addiction in our country. And then you watch them do, a key bump of cocaine right in front of you.
Yeah. So,
oh, that's so dirty.
Yeah. And so now I will say that this is accurate. I have my own sources on this. I've never been to one of these parties, but I've covered Washington for many, many years. And I have independent sources who verify that this is actually the case.
Have you ever got a paperless post to a sexual gathering?
I've never gotten one. I've never gotten an invitation to one of these, but I know people that have would go to them regularly, and it was actually well known. So I can confirm through my own sources that this actually happens. Well,
are they? Here's an important question. Are they bipartisan?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think so. But the ones that I knew were on the conservative side. The ones that I knew that went to these parties, the ones that I have verification of, I can't speak. I don't know on the liberal side, on the liberal side of the aisle, but you have to imagine. But I do have verification on the conservative side.
But do you think that they mingle? Like, do you think that the arguing on the House floor is like foreplay for what they are eventually going to?
Nancy.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have confirmation of that, so I can't. You have to think so, right?
This is gross. This story is gross.
But
I don't want to hear about this.
77 says he's not a veteran. By the way, just to be clear, he's not a veteran. I don't know.
Thank
I don't
you
know.
for that clarification.
I don't have a lot of history of Madison Cawthorn, like his backstory. But I will say that this is true. Now, Republicans are not happy about this. Okay, so now what's interesting is that after this story broke, there's like all these people in Washington are like, is he going to name names? Like, is he going to start to talk about these members of Congress on the Republican side that are going to these sexual
Is this another
parties?
GMAX?
Exactly. Like whose names are going to be released, right? He holds the keys to this, and he said the quiet part out loud. This is absolutely happening. And so now Representative Kevin McCarthy, of course, the minority leader of Republicans, said publicly, like, well, I'm going to have him into my office. We're going to have a meeting, right? So basically he got taken to the woodshed over this comments. And so the reporting now is that Representative Kevin McCarthy to Axios admitted that in a tense meeting with Representative Kevin McCarthy, that his claims that House GOP colleagues have done cocaine and invited him to orgies were exaggerated, the House GOP leader told Axios. And then in this piece, he says...
Wait. The House leader said that. So he
Yes.
said that I had the boy over and the boy admitted that these were exaggerated claims. But actually, the boy himself has not said this.
Exactly.
McCarthy is saying that okay.
So Cawthorn is not coming out saying that he's walking this back. And now there's talk this morning in Politico of primarying this guy, saying, okay, you know what, he's a weak link. Let's put up another candidate here and run up against him, because you know what, this is not we can't be talking about this stuff. I mean, that's literally what's happening. If you read the Politico piece this morning, fellow Republicans started suggesting he is the next incumbent that is under threat. The North Carolina conservative appeared alongside other House Republicans at a fundraiser, the Trump-backed opponent of Representative Liz Cheney. It's not clear if Cawthorn knew how conspicuous that choice was with Republicans still seething over his claims about sexual perversion parties in Washington. Well, so yes, he didn't say this, right? Like Representative McCarthy is coming out saying that he exaggerated this. Well, independently of this, what do I have that here? Yes. Just when you thought this tweet, just when you thought that Madison Cawthorn coke orgy saga couldn't get any more strange, Roger Stone just wrote on Gab, which is what is Gab? Gab's
I have no idea.
It's like a signal, or it's like a Twitter something. Just wrote, Congressman Madison Cawthorn just told me he has not retracted his claims about drug-fueled orgies among DC elite. And I'm not gonna go into details about this, but Roger Stone would know.
Oh. Okay.
You could read between the lines there. But I'm telling you, like, Roger Stone is basically saying, hey, Cawthorn is not pulling back. He's not retracting his comments. This sort of like whitewashing of this is literally coming out of the speaker's, the House Minority Leader's office.
This story is gross. It's so swampy.
Yeah, here's more. Melanie Zanova says, news. McCarthy says he told Madison Cawthorn during a meeting today that the freshman has lost his trust and he needs to take steps to turn his life around, or else there could be consequences. Oh, and then he also says Cawthorn admitted to him in private, like his orgy and cocaine stories were exaggerated or untrue. He didn't really mean that. Oh, really? Really? So Manu Ranju from CNN says Senator Tom Tillis, GOP senator from North Carolina, unloads on Madison Cawthorn after his comments about sex and drug parties. I thought about the statement, if it's true, and then he's got a lot of information to reveal. If it's not true, then he's guilty of being untruthful. Tillis adds, I thought it was a really silly statement, and it's not the first one that he's made. Basically, is Cawthorn a problem? Well, at the end of the day, people in this district are going to have to vote for him, and I would ask them to look at his record and what he's doing since he's been here as a North Carolina Republican. What has he done? So, man, they're really uncircling the wagons. Tom Tillis says, what is his track record of working on tough issues? What's he done?
Well, I mean,
for the
think about it.
Part of the state.
They can't have this. Republicans can't have this story out there. They'll lose the Christian right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Asked for his assessment whether Cawthorn had accomplished much in his first term, Tillis said, not a lot in my opinion.
All right, but can you put him up against other freshman lawmakers? And then, no, because
Put him up against AOC.
Right, because no, we can't do that because he's saying things we don't like.
I mean, and he's being honest. I like that he's saying that, and he's the one, he's the one who literally went after Zelensky and called him a thug. I mean, and you can't say that because that's where we're funneling so much money and weapons to that area. You can't say that. And here's the second time now he's basically like, hey, I know what you guys do under the dark of night in Washington, D.C.
How do they have, if they're like in their 60s and 70s, how do they have all this energy to like get up early and get on camera and hair and makeup and then
Viagra.
also at night
Viagra.
have
New
these.
Vigil.
Yeah, who knows what
It's
they're
called
doing.
New Vigil. That's what Obama was on.
New Vigil.
My
What
ex,
is that?
my ex was a pharmaceutical rep, and she sold this New Vigil stuff. And if you took it, you were like, you were ultra focused, but you just wanted to spend money. It was weird.
What the heck are
'Cause-
you talking about? Obama was on. How do you know this?
It was verified. He was on a thing called New Vigil. It was a prescription. You get it under prescription. I don't know what it's actually prescribed for. I don't remember that, but all I know is how it made me feel when my wife gave me some.
New
Okay.
Vigil. Okay,
Yeah.
here it is. New. Let me see what this is. New Vigil. Okay, is that what it is? New Vigil.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
So if I take this, I will have the energy for orgies too, and
You
not
would
want
have
to
the
go to
energy for
bed at
orgies,
9:30.
and you would spend money.
Well, we don't need that. Two things that I don't want my wife to do.
Oh wait,
More. Yeah.
why no fun for Natalie? But the GOP gets to do all this fun things.
You can still-
go read your books at night,
Okay.
Natalie, and stay still.
Fine. No, you can go to the orgies. I just don't want you spending money. No. So, yeah, I mean, this is what's happening in the Republican Party right now. And like, trying to
Not right now, apparently. For always.
for always. And again, yeah.
I was just going to say there's a thing that says tucked away under the list of medications in a report on President Obama's recent physical exam is the intriguing notion jet lag time zone management is what he was taking New Vigil for.
Oh, I might try it for that then. I hate jet lag. It feels like actual pain for me when I can't do it.
I have a friend, Trey Radcliffe, who's a great photographer. He says his superpower is he doesn't get jet lag because he would travel the world and shoot photo. And he never, and I witnessed that firsthand. Like he literally shot like videos with me in New York, like after flying from New Zealand, and he was just fine as all could get out. And I'm like, how
Yeah,
are you
I
doing
never-
this right now?
But like, let's
I've
not
always-
pretend that we're super scandalized about politicians doing this. When having gone through the Clinton era, like,
No, I'm
did
not-
we think that it was
I'm not
cleaned up?
No. I'm not. Well, first of all, yeah. Again, what do you do in your own personal time? It's none of my business. But when you try to shut down a sitting member of Congress and discredit him and get him to change his story and then literally have the party come down on him in order to get him primaried, that's when I find it interesting. That
Yeah.
to me is when it's newsworthy. The same thing, he speaks out and tells the truth. He tells the truth here and he tells the truth about Vladimir Zelensky and gets slapped. He gets
Yeah.
slapped down by the leadership. You can't say this. You can't say this out loud. And he's going to be primaried out because he's speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on this story. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.